Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. The NDP leader Jagmeet Singh in Canada has been instrumental in doing something great. He has achieved what all the actions of the liberal leaders, conservative leaders, their strategists combined could not have achieved. He has been successful in putting this third national party on ventilator. I don't know whether it's suffering from coronavirus or not, but it's definitely now in need of a decent burial. Otherwise, it's going to go extinct like Dodo, the mythical bird, unwept, unhonored, unsung. As a matter of fact, honestly, sometimes I feel that the actions of Jagmeet Singh have proved that the NDP has been true to itself. NDP platform endorsed physician assisted death and it's delivering the pledge. The physician being the leader himself. And it is shocking because in a democratic state, any political party which has been established, which had achieved the status of being the official opposition, if that is wiped out in a matter of years less than half a decade, is something really, really disturbing to any student of political science. By facilitating Justin Trudeau's shutdown of the parliament in Canada, NDP has made itself absolutely irrelevant. It could have done much more. I don't know whether Jagmeet ever played baseball while growing up, or did he see that old movie which is a long back, Old Yeller, on TV. Naturally, that movie is no longer in theaters. So listen up, Mr. Leader. I'm going to tell you something which will hurt. But it's time that your defective NDP, because you have made it defective, is put down on account of this merciful killing. It needs now a decent burial. There's absolutely no chance after your recent work that NDP will ever get back into the game that democratic countries play. Don't take it from me, take it from yourself, an NDP. Last week you wrote yourself out of relevance. You became irrelevant by facilitating the shutdown of the parliament sometime till September. Now, the purpose of the parliament is to meet, to deliberate, to discuss, and to take decisions. But if you look at the economy, if you look at the epidemic which is growing, and the Canadian economy is at present passing through a stellar impersonation of NDP balance sheet, falling recession. At the time of the global peril, you have put your vocation ahead of the responsible government. As a matter of fact, let's be very clear that I'm very cognizant of the fact that the NDP supporters will undoubtedly say that they secured the support of the government for a pledge to work with the provinces towards a new national system of 10 paid sick leaves. And that's why they agreed to Trudeau's request for not working. But let's put it differently. Trudeau is a walking, talking ATM. He is dispensing tens of billions of dollars to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. And all Jagmeet has got is manage an IOU, nothing. And then amazing, this is for the first time in the history of the world that a political party has requested the government for funds. They are so short of funds that the salaries of the NDP could not be paid. And this party, which used to be flush with funds, is now on the bankruptcy and they requested a subsidy from the government. Now, a public party, a political party, when it asks for the government subsidies, is naturally showing that it has no capability of fighting the government when the government does something wrong. But then Trudeau, for once, has been extra smart. He gave a contingent IOU. It's a memo to self invite Singh to the next quarantine poker night. Watching the NDP leader take questions in the wake of his bamboozling decision was even worse. Trudeau is hiding himself. He has taken a camouflage, a parda, behind jurisdiction on the question of care homes. What happened in the long term care homes in Ontario and Quebec has been shocking. And he very quietly said, well, this is the jurisdiction of the provinces, forgetting that he has the federal government of Canada. And if something so horrible happens, he is supposed to be responsible. And then, Jagmeet thundered and he threw a blanket over Parliament. No discussions. We had many tools to push the government. Let's take a vacation till September. He did not realize, Jagmeet, that he has thrown the best and the most effective tools. Somebody needs to explain to Jagmeet Singh the concept of balance of power because he's bending Justin. And this was the time, when he could have bent Justin Trudeau over a barrel. But the opposite happened. It was Justin Trudeau who played a master stroke. Whether Justin did it or somebody advised him to do it, but it was a master stroke. It is perhaps a blessing that the NDP agreed to shut down the debate on question of shutting down the parliament. If you are going to comprehensively wet the bed, it helps to narrow the window in which you can be seen doing it. And they have combined wet the bed. God knows, or Jagmeet knows, that don't we need parliament? But then maybe they're thinking that absolutely nothing is happening. People are dying. Long-term care homes are a conduit to death. So parliament can't do anything. So why not put it to sleep? But then nothing happening is pretty much the fault of the parliamentarians themselves. I saw on Twitter a comment by Gary Keller that since June 2019 and now this full 1 year, Parliament, that House of Commons, worked only for 44 days. Out of 365 days, House of Commons worked for 44 days. 365 minus 44. That is 321 days they did not work. They got paid for their office, for their in Ottawa, in the constituency. They traveled at the government expense. They enjoyed and they did not work. This is the first time I have seen the policy of all pay and no work. Had this been done during the regime of Harper government, you could have seen the press raising a noise like hell. And this time, not a single TV commentator commented. Not a single editorial came. What the hell are these guys doing? Just working for 44 days in a year? Has it ever happened anywhere in the world? It doesn't even happen in those democracies which say they are democracies, but really they are dictatorships. They just say yes to what the leader says. It's hard to believe that NDP, a party that stormed and rushed to take the role of official opposition in 2011, is on the death's door today. But then that has been its fate since the time of Jack Layton's death. The tragedy, the misfortunes of this party started long back. The untimely death of former leader Jack Layton, followed by the elevation of former Quebec Liberal leader Tom Mulcair as leader of the party, was the first nail in the coffin. But Mulcair took a bold decision to pursue balanced budget as election policy. However, the policy of Justin Trudeau took a very bold decision. He tackled spending right and left. And the only credo of Trudeau was spend, 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 dazzle the people with the money, and make people forget that the money that was being spent was their hard earned money. But Mulcair's policy failed. The benevolent spending by Trudeau enabled Mulcair to make an exit. And with Mulcair gone, and Singh became a null figure, null and void. Now NDP has really slipped into irrelevance and soon possibly, as I said, bankruptcy because the party coffers cannot afford to pay even the party officials. So whether the parliament meets for 44 days or 4 days is not relevant as far as NDP is concerned because it's time for NDP to go. Any political party of that level which made headlines should go with a bang. But then NDP is going with a whimper. Trudeau's big spending, decidedly left of the central government, it is definitely left of the central government, has left NDP no base. All its base of pro-leftist policies, left of the center policies, have been taken over by Trudeau. So it had become the B team. And by requesting the government to give it subsidy to pay its workers, even that pretense of B team is gone and it is just an extension of Liberal Party. It simply isn't possible for the government to be spending more than the government already has. And Trudeau brand is already hogging the environment. So what is left for this sinking boat? In that desolate environment of the political scene of the country, there's no totem pole on which NDP could climb. But then, who knows? NDP's exit could have a positive effect on the Conservative Party. And the strategy of Conservative Party must be smiling behind the slaves. There is no party left to split the left. The Conservatives now will be forced into a more rounded conversation on policy. Earlier, they had the hope that the left vote would be divided. So now this is a challenge for the Conservatives. There is not going to be division of vote. So they have to come up very clearly and stick to the conservative values because all their talk of the leftist policy is going to be deemed as trash. So strategically, Conservative Party needs to be more efficient. And as things stand, there is no option for conservative. It's either to get a majority or go dead, leaving the field clear for liberals to be the absolute rules and the dream of Trudeau come true, his aspirations to copy the Chinese, to copy Fidel Castro as the sole party, as the only party. Other parties, one or two MPs, just for the sake of having an opposition, but being the lord of all its domains. So now it's an existential issue both for the conservatives and for the Canadian policy. Canadians under the blue tent need to form a government if they can do something. So the fantasy that NDP will split the suburban ridings would be a hope only, but there's improbable repeat of 2011 possible if the leadership is competent. I would say NDP's death is not a happy thing. It's nothing to gloat about. It's something sad because it's paving the way to dictatorship. The pacifist, crunchy granolaism of Sven Robinson and trade unionism of broadband are relics of the past. They have no relevance today. The new power on the left resides in the identity politics, not economics. And Trudeau has been an expert at identity politics. He has failed from the economy point of view. That's definite first center. Now the situation is very clear. The conservatives have to rise up, come up with a clear cut, well defined policies, try to fill the void. Let the people make clear that this is going the period when the Canadian politics is going to have two well defined parties, one left of the center and other the rightist. And don't forget, if the conservative government has proper strategies, then it can win the field, especially since globally the conservatives are winning from India to Austria, from England to New Zealand, Australia. The rightists are on a winning trend. Can the Canadian conservatives copy, saying goodbye to NDP, having a field clear, and then it's quite possible to have clear cut demarcation in the ideologies? That shall be the only contribution of NDP as the situation is. Shall we say NDP RIP, rest in peace. Thank you.